So we are going to solve the problem for the calculation of total distillate yields. So the given conditions are all these four products are produced from the atmosphere distillation column: light naphtha, heavy naphtha, light distillate and heavy distillate. The second information that is required is the ASTM endpoint. So all the ASTM endpoint of all products are given here in degree Fahrenheit. Then the next information is a 595 gap. So this value is also given between the two adjacent products like light naphtha and heavy naphtha. The value is given between heavy naphtha to light distillate, value is given between the light distillate to heavy distillate and heavy distillate to bottom. So with the help of these two values we have to find out the total distillate yield. Let us take the steps. So the first step is basically the conversion of ASTM endpoint into the TVP endpoint. Either you can use this figure or you can use these two equations or second equations, because we need only the final boiling point, that is the endpoint conversion. So with the help of this equation number 2 we can find out the TVP endpoint. So this equation is used where this you have to, y is basically the ASTM and x is the TVP. So here you have to rearrange this equation to find out the x value for the given y value. So y is the ASTM, this is ASTM and this is TVP. So rearrange this equation and you can find the values. So this is the first thing. After calculating the TVP, you can go for the second step, that is the TVP overlap. That is the important thing. We have to find the TVP overlap using this graph. In this graph you can see x-axis is a gap is given, y-axis is the TVP overlap, that is desired one, and then we have a different curves. These curves are basically related with the fractionations between, for example, this is light naphtha to heavy naphtha, you can use this one. For heavy naphtha to light distillate you can also use this one. Light distillate to heavy distillate you can use this one. So these curves can be used for all these calculations. So for light naphtha to heavy naphtha, if you use plus 25 gap, plus 25 is given, you can find that it is a very close, plus 25, it should be plus 25. So plus 25 that comes here, it is very close to the this point, close to the 100, that is approximately 95 value is there. So that is the first thing. Similarly you can find out the other values also. There are some second method is that you can use the equations. So I have developed the equations for all these one. For example, this is equation for light naphtha to heavy naphtha, you can use this equation where y is the overlap and x is the ASTM gap. Similarly for light distillate to heavy distillate you can go for this one. So if we are using these equations, you have to simply put x value as a gap plus all these values and you can find the TVP overlap. So that comes very close to the graphical values. So in Excel we are going to use these equations because we can put very easily, there is no manual work required, only put the gap and then automatically that will be find the TVP overlap. Now after going through these two equations we are almost completed the steps. Now look very carefully about the TVP curve. The third step, to take the TVP curve and to put all these known values. For example, we have gone through, just zoom it, we have gone through the first value, that is the endpoints. So this temperature basically tells about the endpoints. Yes, this temperature tells about the endpoint, and you have to this one, and this is basically TVP endpoint that we have calculated. And the next one is the, this is basically crossing at this point. Next one is the TVP overlap that is given here. So this is a TVP overlap. So we know that we have discussed earlier that we have to find out the half of the TVP overlap, and this half of the TVP overlap is nothing but this value, and this value yes, and this value is a TUP cut point value. So that is the important point. This is the point where TUP cut point is interacting with the graph. So this point is an important point. Basically from this point we can go for the next value, that is a TUP cut volume. That is our desired one, TUP cut volume. So TUP cut volume is calculated at 13.2 volume percent. This is the calculations for the first step. So what we did here, we have find out at end point. We know TUP overlap. We have to divide the TUP overlap. We have to find out the half of this TUP overlap. So half is calculated, then minus from that end point, that gives the 244 degree. At this point you have to go from y-axis and find out the intersection point up to 244 and then find the x value. That is basically the yield value, that is TUP cut point, a volume, and yield value is there, 13.2 volume percent. So in this way we have to find out the TUP cut volume. So for example, I have told you that with the help of ASTM endpoint you have to calculate the TUP endpoint, number one. With the help of the overlap you have to find out the half of overlap. Now half of overlap of all these fractions has been calculated. Then you simply minus this, 291 minus 46, that comes 244. Similarly you can find all these values just by subtracting from the endpoints. Then from the x-axis, from the y-axis of this 244, we can find out the x value, and x value, and x value. So this is all about the TUP cut volume percentage, and we want to represent these things in the graph. So this can be a TUP curve, and we can represent the first cut, second cut, third cut, and fourth cut. So what we can see, from 0 to 13.2%, this is about the light naphtha, and from 13.2 to 23.9, this is about the heavy naphtha, and the next one is about the light distillate, and next one is about heavy distillate. So and the remaining is this remaining is residue. This is residue. So we are not going for the residue, we are only concentrating about the distillates. So this is the total distillate, means 51.7 volume percent. From 0 to 51.7 volume percent is the total distillate that we want to produce, and that is divided into 4 products: light naphtha, heavy naphtha, light distillate, and heavy distillate. So that's all about it. You have to go through it carefully and understand the steps. Thank you.